Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. Today we'll be talking about UFOs, aliens, and why suddenly they are revealing to more and more people. They are here. They are already here. They've been here before. If we go into any ancient text, we recognize the stories of beings coming from the sky. And it's really wonderful that we are living in times where the internet and social media platforms allow information to spread rapidly and reach a global audience, as UFO sites that may have once remained isolated incidents can now gain widespread attention. So when something happens on the world, the whole world will know it. And it's wonderful because it allows people who had close encounters with them, and there's many people who had it. Like some time ago I've made a video about my thoughts on what's happening in the Congress, about the whistleblowers talking about UFOs and sharing information that were known as classified government documents related to UFOs. Many people wrote me then that they've seen them, they've talked with them, that they've seen UFOs came to them and things like that. So there's many people who have close encounters with those beings, and it's nothing new. Like if we go into, for example, ancient Sumerian texts, we recognize that Sumerian civilization, one of the earliest known civilizations, left behind texts that contain stories of gods and celestial beings coming down to Earth. But what's interesting, people at that time looked at those beings as gods because they've been more evolved. They were not gods, they were just more intelligent or more technologically evolved beings. And if we go into ancient Egypt, we'll recognize the stories of Thoth and the emerald tablets, where Thoth has left behind a wisdom for our time. That's why right now all of this information is coming out. And in those tablets, he was talking about the truth, about the story, what happened, about the manipulation of our DNA that happened around 200,000 years ago. It's also proven by today's science. So it's nothing new that those alien beings, intelligent beings, are here. They are living here. But the fact that we can only perceive less than 1% of the entire electromagnetic spectrum can tell us why most of us maybe can't see them. Maybe because of their evolved technology, maybe because they exist on higher frequencies that are only possible for certain people to see. Or we're just not evolved enough yet. But nothing of that truly matters. What really matters is, where is our focus right now? Because on the world, what's happening, the declassification of government documents related to UFO investigations, such as those by US government's UAP task force, is generating increased interest and discussion about the topics. So all of that is coming out. Increased awareness around UFOs and aliens is happening, which means that people are questioning, and that is what is more important than the actual information around it. The questionings, because through questioning something, we dive ourselves deeper into the subjects. And if we dive deep for enough time, sooner or later we come to certain facts. We come to the wisdom of our past. We come to the knowledge that was kinda hidden until the time will be right. And I believe that right now the time is right that all that ancient knowledge can be revealed to us once again. So when all of that is coming out, many people are wondering, is this true? Is this real? Are we really not alone in this vast universe. And obviously, if you would just go a bit deeper into your body, you would recognize, well, it's filled with all kinds of different cells. And maybe one cell may believe that it is alone in this body, like it's the only cell that makes this body alive. But obviously, if we go out into the surface, we recognize that the only reason your body can be alive right now is because of the vastness of living organism, of cells within your body. Within the cell, there's an incredible DNA that science in nowadays is saying that inside of our DNA there's a history of this whole solar system. But most probably, if they could measure even more, they would recognize there's a history of whole life, of the beginning of life. And most probably there is no beginning. There's only life happening in the present moment, because time is an illusion. When we go into a higher dimension of consciousness and we recognize that everything is happening in the present moment, and the only purpose of time is so events from the past and the future don't collapse, because then there would be a chaos of information. So we are living in an interesting time when all of that is coming out. And we're being reminded that all those intelligent beings are already here. They were always here. And for example, there's a really interesting story of Ezekiel from the Bible, also known as the Ezekiel's will, which explains a story that is so interesting. Listen to this. He said, "I looked and I saw windstorm coming out of the north, an immense cloud with flashing light and surrounded by brilliant light. The center of fire looked like glowing metal, and in the fire was what looked like 4 living creatures. In appearance, their form was human, but each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight, their feet were like those of a calf and gleamed like burnished bronze. Under their wings, on their 4 sides, they had human hands. All 4 of them had faces and wings, and the wings of one touched the wings of another. Each one went straight ahead. They did not turn as they moved. As I looked at the living creatures, I saw a wheel on the ground beside each creature with its 4 faces. This was the appearance and structure of the wheels. They sparkled like topaz, and all 4 looked alike. Each appeared to be made like a wheel intersecting a wheel. As they moved, they would go in any one of the 4 directions the creatures faced. The wheels did not change direction as the creatures went. Their rims were high and awesome, and all 4 rims were full of eyes all around." So what does it tell us? Well, it tells us that it's not really something kind of familiar for that time. It's more like something from a science fiction movie, right? And we can find this kind of stories in Native American, indigenous myths. We can find these stories in ancient Egypt. We can find this kind of stories in ancient Indian texts, such as Vedas and Puranas. So they have always been here. And in a sense, they're waiting us to be ready to see them. Because most probably right now, some people would praise them like gods. Some people would be afraid of them. Some people would get in fights with them. And it's not really an ideal scenario for those kind of beings to come here. So most probably they come here and investigate what's happening without paying much attention to us until we'll be ready to kind of open up. And we can actually recognize, if you're familiar with the work of Dolores Cannon, her books, She was guiding people into meditation, where people were exploring their past lives regressions. And so many people actually had memories from all kinds of different planets, living life in all kinds of different bodies, which were not human bodies often, and things like that. So we find the stories in many different sources. And if we really pay attention to the stories, we recognize all those beings were usually more evolved technologically, but also consciously. They've exchanged information telepathically. They were not using their mouths for speaking, they were just exchanging thoughts, which is already a sign of evolved mind, right? We have all those abilities, but we haven't took enough time to kind of train them. And also we don't have many great teachers that could help us to train this gift. So we kind of need to study all kinds of ancient knowledge to come across this information. The thing is that we are living in a time when more of this information is coming out, and you've most probably come across so much of it already. I remember when I was much younger, all you could find was ancient aliens, right? And I love that, but I was always waiting when something will be revealed, but nothing was revealed, only, information. But now I know that it was enough for me to keep investigating it, to keep questioning it, to keep, reading about it and looking for it and looking into the night sky and questioning the stars, like what life is all about, who am I, what's my purpose, and so on, right? So actually, it had its purpose for me back at that time to question things. And that's where we recognize the purpose of all of that. So some people may call it a distraction, when those things are happening on the news, but actually the purpose of it is for you to open up to bigger questions. If before you were questioning what celebrities are doing, what's happening on the news, and so on, now you're wondering a little bit more about UFOs, about life on other planets, about what's happening outside of this solar system, and even what this reality is all about, as quantum physics started exploring this field that is now called as quantum field, the 0-point field. There's a great book called The Field. You can read it and you will discover many great information. You will recognize that everything is light. Even your body is literally a light body. And more you experience, for example, positive emotions, stronger your DNA will start emanating light. And that light has a healing power. That's what Reiki healing is all about, right? Healing with light, with energy. Energy is light. And this is the information that is coming out more and more and more. And all of that information is really important because, again, it helps us to question even more, to study even more. But we have to prepare ourselves. As we're living in this age of information, we need to know how to stay grounded, how to also practice what we are learning, how to kind of decide what is beneficial information and what is just a distraction, what can help us to grow and what is not helping us to grow. So we have to have a sense of discernment so we can decide what is important to us. And that's why this age is actually really, really great, but also dangerous, because it can, it can break us down. If you're just being constantly exposed to information, your brain will not be able to handle all of that. So you may go crazy. You may, start to wonder like how to handle all of that, how to handle the truth. What is the truth? What is not the truth? What are lies? What is false information? And what is real? Right? So we have to know how to stay grounded. That's why I'm constantly giving you information, how to navigate yourself through this really interesting times. I've made a video recently about the split that is happening and how to protect yourself from all of this intense information, because the split that is happening is that there are people who are acknowledging themselves, who are exploring their inner worlds, who are studying the knowledge of life, who are educating themselves about the truth, about what life is all about, who are practicing it. And there are people who are staying ignorant. And the split between these two groups of people is happening. But sometimes the problem is, as sometimes I experience that I meet a person who is more acknowledged and is also quite arrogant because, when you are a bit more awakened, it may give you a sense that you are better than those who are not, like you're more powerful because you know more. And therefore, some people become a bit arrogant, and that's what they call spiritual ego. So the power of knowledge doesn't serve you to be more powerful, but to be more aware. So everyone who is acknowledging yourself right at this time needs to understand that this knowledge doesn't serve as to make you more powerful, but to make you more aware. So sometimes people think that when we acknowledge ourselves that way, we are at the peak of our evolution, but actually this is the beginning of our evolution. And that is the split that is happening between ignorant people and people who are spiritually evolving, embodying spiritual virtues, something we've been talking yesterday. Actually, the virtues of universal principles. This universe works in certain natural laws, in certain natural rhythms, in certain natural principles, such as the principle of mentalism, the principle of correspondence, the principle of vibration, principle of polarity, of rhythm, of cause and effect, and the principle of gender. Those are all principles that were brought to us from our great ancient ancestors. And I believe that all those intelligent beings are us from other timelines. Maybe they are our ancestors, maybe they are our future us coming back into this time to remind us of the important changes that are necessary for our, not just for survival, but so we can thrive. And once we start working with those principles, embodying those principles through certain virtues that are also called the spiritual virtues, those are like good habits that can allow us to live in alignment with the whole cosmos, with the existence of life. Once we learn to embody that, we start living differently. We start taking care of what we eat, what we perceive, what we are learning, how we are talking, how we are expressing ourselves, because words are spells. That's why it's called spelling, right? How we are thinking. We pay attention to our emotions. We recognize where we are holding certain resentment, certain pain, certain anger, certain fear, and we're working on purifying our system. That's what alchemy was all about, decalcifying our bodies, so we can purify this incredible technology that is written within our DNA. We are incredibly powerful beings. And actually in the Emerald tablets, we can find that the being, the Thoth, who was like the master alchemist, the master teacher, taught to his people that actually we can evolve way beyond him. So we have to pay attention to what resonates with our hearts, because that's how we recognize what is the truth. And all of those beings are actually reminding us to really pay attention to our own inner intelligence that is awakening as we are practicing using the right tools. And you can recognize that in the information from people who are channeling, like beings from Galactic Federation, like Pleiades and other beings. You will recognize all those different beings are talking about one and the same thing. Expand your consciousness. Train your mind to be present and to focus only on certain specific things that you prioritize, and activate your heart and spread or strengthen your light body. They're all talking about the same or similar things, so we can redirect our attention, so we can change the destination we're walking towards, because right now we are ahead of dangerous zone, and they're reminding us that it's important for us to redirect ourselves, because we've done a lot of harm to this planet. So more and more UFOs and aliens are coming to this planet because we are living in so interesting times. But we also have to know that we need to be careful, because all of that can be also used against us, as there's a lot of this technology already here. Governments can use it to manipulate you, to manipulate your mind through media. Once again, like, you have to be afraid of those things and so on. So you really need to know how to recognize the truth of something, how to recognize what resonates with you, what resonates with your frequency, because that's how you know if certain information is real or false. You have that inner mechanism that will tell you what is right and what is false. So I just want you to pay more attention to your already incredible inner technology, my friend. This is it for today. I hope you found something valuable today. I'm sending you lots of love, blessings, and power. Thanks to all of you for supporting my art in our Etsy shop, I Draw My Passion. The link is also in the description of this video. Also, thanks to anyone who's joining in our membership on this channel. Thanks for supporting this mission. That's where I'm also sharing a little bit of the background behind the scene, behind all this content, which is a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of love put it into it. So thank you so much for supporting that, my friends. Stay beautiful. Till next time, one love.